Okay, we're live. Due to everybody's circumstances, as we all know, I'm doing the live stream from an undisclosed location because, yeah, uh, I was home. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it from home, and then GB went. Um, the reason why I thought, hey Shay, the reason why I said I'm gonna do it from home is because at Parliament, where I normally do it, normally I'm in my office. If power were to go there, I would kind of be trapped in the building because Parliament doesn't have a generator in that building. So I'd be stuck in there with the shutter up or down, rather, and wouldn't be able to kind of get out. So before that happened and we had a national incident on our hands, I said, let me find somewhere else to do it. So we're going to try to make it a quick live stream. Just a bit of a parliamentary weekend review. On Tuesday, faction leaders from Parliament returned from IPCO, and we actually only had one Central Committee meeting that was held on Thursday that dealt with the extension of the national to extend the life of the NRPB. So we were dealing with the national decree that would do that. So it extends the life of the NRPB for 2 years. And what that means is that the projects that have currently been started can continue, and those projects that are now being started in whether it's a procurement phase or just the project planning phase, can actually be executed. So that is essentially what we did in Parliament this last week. IPCO ended on the Monday, June 10th. And I have to say, in terms of at least moving the goalpost somewhere with the dispute regulation, which is meant to handle disputes between the four countries in the kingdom, we did make some headway on that. So there will be the handling of a draft happening in Parliament, and then thereafter, Aruba, which is the tracker of this initiative, basically will then push that draft to their government, and then it starts the process on a higher level, on a kingdom level. After that process has run its course. And yeah, so, but overall, IPCO itself was a good opportunity to kind of test the waters, with the incoming or the to-be incoming Dutch government. There's a lot of concern about who's going to be filling what post, in particular when it comes to kingdom relations for us. And yeah, so basically that was essentially the round off of IPCO. Then was of course good to meet those new members who are there from different parties. Was also good to meet new members, of course, in of the Kingdom Relations Committee then for like Curacao. And Aruba also had some new people, new faces with them. Of course, we had Mr. Brownbill, well, Curaçao's Mr. Brownbill, Fergino, and a really cool guy. And, of course, his first IPCO, filling some very big shoes of our fallen comrade Amerigo today for Curacao. And I was a little nervous, but I definitely want to give him a little shout out and say that he did a great job, nevertheless, nerves and all. Looking forward, this week upcoming, we have a few meetings. Of course, the most important one, I'm gonna leave that for last, so I'll start off at Tuesday. Tuesday, we have a CCARE meeting, which is at the Committee for Kingdom Relations, and basically that's a debrief of tripartite and IPCO. It's just going to be going over that and a discussion of the draft kingdom laws I mentioned on the dispute regulation as presented by the Parliament of Aruba. And then on Thursday, we have a closed-door finance committee meeting with the CFT regarding the financial status of Simatin. Looking forward to their thoughts as well, especially considering what has been shared over the last few weeks by the Minister of Finance, MP Gumbs. And then on Friday, we have a closed-door finance committee meeting, which is a discussion with the IMF on various important topics concerning the economic and fiscal landscape of Simatin and an update on their mission findings. So the IMF tends to write certain reports on St. Martin and on Curacao as well. And it kind of gives us an indication of where we're going in terms of inflation and stuff like that. So it's so it's going to be it's going to be a few interesting meetings. Unfortunately, yes, the two finance ones are closed door. The CCare one as well, I believe, because we don't normally broadcast those. But Monday, of course, is a, for now, closed door central committee meeting on GEBE and the current situation of what is happening with GB. I, for one, don't. One second, I was looking for some of my notes. Yeah. So basically, I don't necessarily support it being closed door. It's always tough for me because from a private sector side, I recognize the need for like confidentiality. I'm like, I also feel like it needs to be something said to the public, something that can be said publicly, to kind of say, this is where we're at and this is where we're going. There have been some discussions, where we are hearing different options of a barge or a container, etc. And I'm really curious to see if, that is something that what we're going to do. And also, does GB have the money to do it? Because based on what I can hear from the public session that GB had, which of course I did not get to attend, I was not here. What I can hear from the answers given in that public session versus the answers I've received as a member of parliament following the 2022 cyber attack on GB, and even before that, because from 2021, I've been asking questions and PFP has been asking questions about certain things like GB's capacity, their ability to handle the developments that we are seeing come online, especially post-Irma, post-COVID, where we see now JW Marriott, formerly Westin, is back online. You have the towers now that are online, the hill, and all these developments. So we've been asking those questions, and from what I hear in the answers given in the session versus those answers received as a member of parliament since 2020, they don't jive. They don't jive at all, and that to me is a concern, because then I want to ask the question of who was lying to me. Was the former prime minister lying to me? Was GB lying to her? Was GB lying to all of us? Like, that's basically what I would just like to ascertain, and I get it, persons treat these things very sensitively from a political perspective and such, but I don't really think that this is the time to continue that. So I would hope that the prime minister reconsiders the closed door nature of this. I do think that in the past we've done a sort of hybrid where the nitty gritty of the finance details are discussed behind closed doors. And then what can be discussed publicly is discussed publicly. Of course, we were supposed to have the final session of a OVE meeting, a public meeting that we had with GB since the previous government, to which the answers that we received are, it's not necessarily great, and so I'm curious to see then what is gonna kind of come out of it, but. Nevertheless, even if it is closed door, whatever can be shared, I will be sharing. We will be sharing. MP Weaver, as has always been very vocal as well about GB, and I think it's high time that. And I also want to say to GB employees, if you feel that things are not going the way they should be going, maybe you guys need to come together and speak out publicly. I know letters have been written internally, but at this point, I would really just like to know why. And I want to touch a bit on something still on GB. I know it's frustrating. The power outages are particularly frustrating for businesses, for persons at home, for the heat. So I want to kind of urge everybody to remember what I've mentioned before. This is also a stress on your mental health. To take the time to get outside, stay as cool as possible, and to not let it get you to a point where you're lashing out at people, at your family and such, because that is what happens. Like, the science is there. I'm not talking, just because I want to. It's actually there for you to see that, if you're not careful, these types of strenuous scenarios do weigh on your mental health. So while we wait to see what happens tomorrow, that meeting will be at 10:30 in the morning. Again, I have said my piece, then I've given my opinion, myself and MP Weaver as PFP. that it should be as open as possible for the public to tune in and to hear from the government directly, because members of parliament can talk, we can speculate, people can put out whatever little Facebook lives they want to put out about I have the solutions, after 4 years. It suddenly struck me that I have the solution. But I think, hearing from the government directly is definitely something that everybody can agree on would be the best thing for the country right now. And yeah, that's pretty much the outlook for Parliament. I also want to give a big shout out to the St. Martin Youth Brigade. They had their rank promotional ceremony on Friday, and Peter Weaver and I were in attendance. Definitely big congrats to them, to the continued success of that program and the fact that it continues to change these kids' lives and help them move on. They talked a bit about some of their alumni then that have gone on to now serve in the U.S. Army, at the governor's cabinet, and in the Coast Guard and other areas of the justice chain or some other form of service that they are now engaged in, and continued success again. And I always look forward to those promotional ceremonies. So further to that, in some local news, 1 second. Yes, hot as it is, I'm having some coffee because it's been a time, guys. It's been a time. So yeah, what I was happy to see this last week is everybody knows I'm a big literacy advocate. I'm big on reading. I always encourage persons to read. I tell all my new members of parliament, read to yourself, read out loud, because it helps you with public speaking so that you don't sound like you're just Mumbleton from Mumbleville. It helps with your enunciation, and I always push for parents to encourage their kids to read. So I was really happy to see that the library got some recent book donations provided to it. Culturally appropriate children's books, which are, of course, very important, from Hedrick McBride and his daughter Skylar. Some of the titles that were donated were I Know My Rights on the Bill of Rights, St. Martin Strong, Respect My Boundaries, and Parkville High class of 2021. So I also am looking forward to the extension of this NRPB scenario leading to the library. Yeah, would be great to see that come up. I have questions pending to just shoot off now that they have their extension. And I also want to touch on something that I will also be sending some questions to the Minister of Justice on, just to get some clarity, I think, because a few persons reached out to me about it. So earlier this week, as you know, I think we were still at IPCO, F-Shot Company announced that they've been granted a weapons dealership license by the government, by the Ministry of Justice, so making it the first and only certified weapons dealership established in St. Martin. This is a result of the implementation then of the weapons policy from 2022. And then, of course, a day later, and it's maybe unfair to kind of juxtapose the two, but I see people can't help but compare. A day later, we had the tragic shooting on June 11th at 9:15, where Central Dispatch deployed some officers to Guana Bay and Hopi State Road, where they then discovered that young Mr. Andy Pascal had succumbed to multiple gunshot wounds over a scooter. I want to take a moment to offer my and PFP's condolences to the parents, the family, and friends of Mr. Pascal. And I know he was a member of Skillful Band, which I was supporting, through Carnival silently, and also with the Juve Troop and such. So I definitely know the talent that has been snuffed out for the country. And at a time when our music scene is getting back to a point where it's really popping and it's growing and evolving, I think it's very sad that this is what has happened. So KPSM then kind of reacted and said, they're intensifying their efforts to combat the recent surge in armed robberies and in gun violence that we're seeing. Over the past few weeks, they're doing various controls and operations that target suspected vehicles and scooter riders that are potentially involved in drug or weapon-related activities. These type of measures do lead to the confiscation of several firearms, but I think it's despite KPSM's efforts, I think it would be a disservice of not just myself but everybody to ignore that life lost this week while then hearing the establishment of this weapons dealership. Now, I have asked some informal questions about this before, have been explained what the intention is, but I do want some clarity because I know that it's for permit holders. So if you have a gun permit, they can bring in the weapon, store the weapon, ammunition safely, which is fine. But what I don't want to see happen, and I know that they're here illegally already, I don't want to see that we end up in such a culture that you have legal AR-15s walking around on the island, for example. So that's definitely not something that I want to, kind of see happen. So those are questions that I'm going to be sending just to get again some clarity, because I think the news article kind of explained but also didn't, and people were asking, well, why? Like, why is it necessary? And I think we should more focus on, instead of celebrating that this license has been granted, which, if you've been waiting for a license for a while, I get it, you feel excited to celebrate, to also kind of say, let's try to not, how you say, not keep it vague what exactly the intentions are, what we expect out of this dealership and such. So that those questions are going to be going out this week to the Minister of Justice. So, and also, my bad, I forgot. I'd like to also take this moment to wish all the dads who may be tuned in or who may watch the replay a very happy Father's Day, 2024. Fathers, it's a lot of reflection, I think, that happens, that should happen then on these days. We reflect a lot on our moms, the women that gave birth to us, the women that raised us, whether it was our mother, our grandmother, great grandmother, godmother, etc. And I think that also has to be highlighted then for the dads, their legacies and the tendency of dads to focus on legacy and what is being left behind, and what we hope to change and leave behind for the kids coming behind them, and what is being left for the kids coming behind them, basically. And a lot of my candidates, myself included, our fathers have been a big influence, and you can see that in the quality of the fathers on the party, the quality of the leadership approaches that we take. Most of us come from strong leaders as dads, who had integrity, who instilled those principles of integrity and ethics in us, and that we try to bring to how we do politics as a party every day. So it does make me proud to continue to take up this work with the type of men that I'm surrounded with, that do take care of their families and make sure that it's all about them. It's going to be a short one today, guys, because as I said, I know power is out for most of us, for me, and I do have to finish my preparations for tomorrow's Central Committee meeting. Whether it will be open or closed, again, remains to be seen. I just wanted to give that general update about what's happening, what happened at IPCO, what's happening this week in Parliament. If there's anything that I can share publicly from the IMF meeting, for example, or the CFT meeting, we'll do so, of course. There won't be a live stream next Sunday. I just want to say that, just to put it out there. There won't be a live stream next Sunday. I'll be taking a bit of a break because, as you know, we're ramping up to the Road to Postulation Day, which is July 2nd, 2024, in preparation for the SNAP election. So I just wanted to do that. And of course, conserve energy, turn off lights, appliances when not in use. If you know you're leaving the house and you know that your district is prone to load shedding, do yourself a favor. Those appliances that you can unplug them. Prioritize your refrigerator, any medical equipment. Use portable power banks to keep your essential electronics charged, your phone and such. If you have the option to use alternative energy solutions, flashlights, if you maybe have solar powered lights for your outdoor, your indoor lighting, or solar powered fans to remain cool, if you're like me and you don't like the heat, definitely do that. And yeah, stay informed, follow updates from GEBE. I think I see that they have ramped up their communications considerably since the country blackout that happened. I think it's all blurring together. I think that was June 2nd. So yes, definitely keep up to date with what they have been saying. And of course, support any community efforts that are available. Share your resources if you can, whether it's your generator or your solar system. Just pass your neighbor an extension card, leave them charge the phone if they don't have a power bank. And yeah, like I said, stay positive. Try to, as much as possible, be flexible with your schedule. Most important activities while you have power. So, prioritize your cooking, recharging your devices. Use that time to bond with family, friends, engage in non-digital activities. I know it's hard. I know it's tough, but I actually picked up this very rare artifact known as a book. I do love to read, but normally I read on my Kindle. But now, to kind of save the battery for that, I picked up a book with pages made of paper. So I urge everybody to try to engage in those non-digital activities that are still not going to drive you crazy. And yeah, practice mindfulness, stress relief techniques to kind of keep yourself from getting frustrated, because it is, I understand it. Power went by me this morning at 10 a.m. It came back around 12:15. I'm back home after taking my dad out for brunch for Father's Day, and then it literally went just an hour after I'd been home, from that. So it's not fun at all, but for those of us who are post Hurricane Lewis, experienced warriors, it's nothing that we can't handle. So yes, and of course, remember to get your hurricane kits in order. You saw there was a wave up the eastern coast of the United States. We're coming down to the time, guys. As July hits, it might get more active. It's forecast to get more active, and of course, as you know, we're approaching. As soon as we start approaching my birthday, which is September 4th, it's going to get a little more busy in the Atlantic. So definitely just keep monitoring that, and make sure that your hurricane kit is ready. Your foodstuffs, little at a time if you can, non-perishables, bottled water for 2 weeks, canned food, etc., and 2 changes of clothes. And of course, if there is inclement weather coming, my first piece of advice is always wash your hair. Wash your hair. You will thank me later. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the PFP channel to be notified of new videos. Follow our social media pages on Facebook and Instagram, and join our WhatsApp community for all PFP updates. We'll also be updating and ramping up the updates during after postulation day, of course. And there are going to be some candidates popping up on radio interviews this week as well. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, check it out. And next, like I said, Sunday, that's the 30th. Yes, there will be no stream. No, that's not the 30th. But Melissa, that's like the 20 something. Anyway, 23rd. So Sunday, the 23rd, no stream, but we will be back the following Sunday with the stream as usual. And I wish everybody a cooler night. I hope when I leave here and I head home that there is GB. But if there's not, I'll just pick up my artifact book and check it out. So have a good one, and see you in another week and a half.